Tuning the heart. The center of thinking is the mind. The center of feeling is the heart. And the center of life energy is the novel. Thinking and contemplation happen through the mind. We talked a little about the center of thought yesterday. Feeling, experiencing emotions such as love, hate, and anger happens through the heart. Life energy happens through the novel. On the first day, I told you that the mind is very tense and has to be relaxed. In thinking, there is a great tension and stress. The mind is under much stress. The strings of the veena of thought are so tight that no music arises from them. Rather, the strings break, the man becomes disturbed. He has become insane. For music to be created, it has become absolutely necessary to relax the strings of the veena of thought so that they can be in tune. The situation of the heart is exactly opposite to that of the mind. The strings of the heart are very loose. For music to be created, they need to be tightened a little so that they can also be in tune. The tension in the strings of thought has to be reduced, and the loose strings of the heart have to be tightened a little. If the strings of the both thoughts and feelings are in tune, if they are balanced, then the music can be created through which the journey to the novel can be made. Yesterday we talked about how thoughts can become silent. This morning we will talk about how the strings of feeling of the heart can be tightened. But before you can understand this, you have to understand that mankind has been living under a curse for centuries. And the curse is that he has condemned all the qualities of the heart. He has considered all the qualities of the heart to be curse, not a blessing. This ignorance, this mistake has been calculably harmful. You have condemned anger, you have condemned pride, you have condemned hatred, you have condemned attachment, you have condemned everything, and you have done all this without understanding that all these qualities are just transformations of the same qualities that you prize. You have praised compassion and you have condemned anger without understanding that compassion is a transformed form of the energy of anger itself. You have condemned hate and you have praised love without understanding that the energy which appears as hate can be transformed and reappear as love. The energy behind both of these is not different. You have condemned pride and you have praised humbleness without understanding that the same energy which appears as pride becomes humbleness. There is no basic conflict between these two. They are two aspects of the same energy. If the strings of the veena are too loose or too tight and a musician touches them, the sound that is created is unmusical, disturbing to the ears and frightening to the mind. If to protest against this disharmonious sound, a person were to get angry and break the veena's strings and throw the veena away, he can, but he should not forget that by tuning it, harmonious sounds can have been created on the same instrument. The unmusical sound is not the fault of the veena. The mistake is that the veena has not been tuned. If the veena has been tuned, then from the same strings which produce disharmony, music which is a balm for the soul, could also have been created. Musical and unmusical notes both arise from the same strings, although this appears to be absolutely contradictory, and the results of both will be opposite. One of them will lead you into a state of bliss, and the other one will lead you into a state of unhappiness. But the strings and the instrument are the same. Anger rises in man's heart if his heart is not balanced. If the same heart becomes balanced, then the energy which begins as anger starts transforming into compassion. Compassion is the transformation of anger. If a child is born without anger, then it is certain that compassion will never appear in the life of that child. If there is no possibility of hate in the heart of a child, then there will be no possibility of love either. But until now, you have lived with the illusion that feelings like these are contradictory, and if you destroy one, then the other will take over. This is absolutely wrong. There can be no teaching more dangerous than this. It is not psychological and it is very unintelligent. Compassion does not arise through the destruction of anger. It is attained through the transformation of anger. Compassion is not the destruction of anger. It is anger that has become tuned and musical. So, if you are opposite to anger and try to destroy it, then you are trying to destroy the musical instrument. And in the destroying it, your development will be very weak and feeble. None of the qualities of the heart will be able to develop in you. It is the same situation as somebody piling fertilizer around his house, which will spread dirt and bad smell everywhere in order to flowers to blossom. But instead of the fragrance of the flowers, you will get the bad smell of the fertilizer and your life will become intolerable. Flowers will certainly blossom with fertilizer, but not by just piling it around the house. The fertilizer first has to undergo a change. It must enter the plants through the roots, and then one day the foul smell of the fertilizer will turn into the fragrance of flowers. But if somebody simply piles fertilizer around his house, he will go crazy with the smell. And if he throws the fertilizer away, his flowers will become lifeless and pale. The transformation of the fertilizer can change a foul smell into fragrance. This very chemistry, this very alchemy is called yoga religiousness. The art of transforming whatever is meaningless in life into something meaningful is religion. But what you are doing in the name of religion is committed suicide. You are not transforming your consciousness. You are living with some basic misunderstandings. A shadow of some deep curse hangs over you. Your hearts have remained developed because you have condemned the basic quality of the heart. It will be good to understand this more deeply. If a person is growing rightly, anger will play an important part in his life. Anger has its own color. If it is removed, then the picture of the man's life will be in same sense incomplete. Some color will be missing. But from childhood, you start teaching children to repress certain qualities And the result of the repressing these qualities is that the children will slowly suppress whatever you call bad. He will suppress it in himself, and a suppressed heart becomes weak because its strings are not rightly tuned. And this suppression will happen in the mind because your education does not go deeper than the mind. When you tell children that anger is bad, this teaching will not reach to the heart. The heart has no ears to listen with and no words to think with. This teaching will go into the mind, and the mind cannot change the heart. So now a problem is created. The mind center thinks that anger is wrong, but the heart center does not. It has no connection with the mind. So every day you become younger, and every day you repent and decide not to be younger again. But the next morning you wake up and again you get angry. You are surprised because you have decided so many times not to get angry, yet it still happens. You don't know that the center which feels angry is different from the mind center. The center which decides, I will not be angry, is absolutely different from the center which becomes angry. They are two totally different centers. So, decisions or repentance do not have any effect on your anger. You go on being angry, and you go on regretting it, and you go on feeling upset about it. You do not understand that these two centers are so separate that the decision taken by the one does not reach the other at all. So, man disintegrates within. The heart center works in certain ways and needs certain things to develop. If the mind interferes in that center, it will become disturbed and chaotic. Everybody's heart center has become absolutely chaotic, absolutely disturbed. Certainly, the first thing is that anger should be transformed, but it should not be destroyed. So, the first key to tighten the strings of the heart is to develop all the qualities of the heart. None should be destroyed. You may be a little puzzled. Does one need to develop anger? I say to you that one certainly has to develop anger because anger can one day be transformed and become compassion. Otherwise, compassion can never arise. If you read the life story of the most compassionate people in the world, you will find that in their early days, they were very angry people. Anger has its own dignity and its own pride. If you read the life story of the greatest celebrities who have existed in the world, you will find that in their early days they were very sexual people. Gandhi became a great celebrity only as a result of being very sexual when he was young. When Gandhi's father was dying, the physician told him that his father would not be able to survive the night. But even that night, Gandhi could not keep away from his wife. It was the last night of his father's life. It would have been very natural to sit with his father. It was the last farewell, and he would not see his father again. But in the middle of the night, Gandhi went to his wife. His father died while Gandhi was in bed with his wife. It created a very strong shock in his mind. Gandhiji's celibacy developed because of his shock. The shock tuned all the energy of this highly sexual mind into a desire for celibacy. How could it happen? It could happen because energy is always neutral. There is only a change of direction. The energy which was flowing towards sex started flowing in the reverse direction. If there is much energy already, it can flow in any other direction. But if there is no energy, there is nothing that can move anywhere. What will move? All the energies should develop rightly. The idea of moral teachings have tuned man into a very miserable and important being. In the past, people experienced life in a deeper way than you do. Two Rajput youths went to the court of King Akbar. They were brothers. They went to Akbar and said, "We are looking for a job." Akbar said, "What can you do?" They said, "We don't know how to do anything, but we are brave people. You may need us." Akbar said, "Have you got a certificate for bravery? What proof do you have that you are bravery?" Both of them started laughing. They said, "Can there be a certificate for bravery? We are brave." Akbar replied, "You cannot get a job without a certificate." Again they laughed. They pulled out their swords, and within a second they had thrust the swords into each other's chests. Akbar was shocked. Both the youths were lying on the ground. Blood was flowing everywhere, but they were laughing. They said, "Akbar, you don't know that there can be only one certificate for bravery, and that is death. There can be no other certificate." Then they both died. Tears came into Akbar's eyes. He had not even imagined that such a thing could happen. He called one of his Rajput military commanders and said to him, "A very grave accident has happened. Two Rajput youths have killed each other. I had only asked them for a certificate." The commander said, "You asked something wrong. This would have made any Rajput's blood boil. What can the certificate for bravery be other than death? Only a coward and a weakling could have a certificate saying that he is brave, saying that somebody thinks he is brave. How can a brave man bring a character certificate?" You asked a wrong question. You don't know at all how to talk to a Rajput. What they have done is right. There was no possibility to doing anything else. It was a clear choice. Such intense anger, such radiance, this king of personality has an immense grandeur. Mankind is losing these qualities. All the radiance, all the courage and strength of man is being destroyed. And you think that you are giving him a good education. But this is not the case. Your children are developing in a very wrong way. Nothing of the real human being is growing inside them. A very famous Lama has written in his autobiography, "When I was 5 years old, I was sent to a university to study. At that time, I was just 5 years old. My father had told me in the evening that I would be sent to the university the next morning. And he said, 'Neither I nor your mother will be there to say goodbye to you. Your mother will not be there because there would be tears in her eyes. And if you saw her crying, you would go on looking back at her. And there has never been a man in our family who has looked back. I also will not be there because if you look back even once after getting on the horse, Then you will no longer be my son, and the doors of this house will be closed to you forever. The servants will say farewell to you tomorrow morning. Remember, do not look back after getting on the horse. There has never been a person in our family who has looked back. Such an expectation of a 5-year-old child. The 5-year-old was woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning and put on a horse. The servants bade him farewell. As he left, a servant said, "My child, be careful. You can be seen until the crossroad. Your father is watching from upstairs. Don't look back before the crossroad. All the children in this house have departed in this way, but no one has looked back." And the servant also told him, "The place where you are being sent is not an ordinary university. The greatest men in the country have studied at that university. There will be a very difficult entrance examination. So, whatever happens, try in every way to pass the entrance examination, because if you fail, there will be no place for you in this house." Such harshness with a 5-year-old child. He sat on the horse, and in his autobiography, he wrote that as he sat on the horse, tears started flowing from my eyes. But how could I look back to the house, to my father? I was leaving for the unknown. I was so small, but I could not look back because nobody in my house had ever looked back. If my father were to see it, I would be banned from my house forever. So I controlled myself and looked forward. I never looked back. Something is being created in this child. Some willpower, some life energy is being awakened in this child to strengthen his navel center. This father is not hard. This father is very loving. And all the mothers and fathers who seem to be loving are wrong. They are weakening their children's inner centers. No strength, no determination is being created within them. The child reached the school. He was a 5-year-old child. There was no way to know what his capacity were going to be. The principal of the school said, "The entrance test here is difficult. Sit near the door with your eyes closed and do not open them until I come back. Whatever happens, this is your entrance test. If you open your eyes, then we will send you back, because someone who does not have even this much strength in himself to sit with his eyes closed for a while cannot learn anything. Then the door to learning will be closed because you will not be worthy. Then go and do something else." All this to a small child of 5 years. He sat near the entrance with his eyes closed. Flies started disturbing him, but he knew that he must not open his eyes, because once he opened his eyes, the test would be over. The other children were coming in and out of the school. Somebody started pushing him. Somebody started disturbing him. But he was determined not to open his eyes. Otherwise, the whole thing would be spoiled. And he remembered his servants telling him that if he failed the entrance test, then his father's house would be closed to him forever. 1 hour passed. 2 hours passed. He sat with closed eyes, afraid that even by mistake he might open them. There were many temptations to open his eyes. The road was busy. Children were running around. Flies were harassing him. Some children were pushing him and throwing pebbles at him. He wanted to open his eyes to see if his master had come. 1 hour passed, 2 hours passed, 3 hours passed, 4 hours passed. He sat there for 6 hours. After 6 hours, the master came and said, "My child, your entrance test is over. Come in. You will become a youth of strong will. You have the determination within you to do whatsoever you want. To sit with closed eyes for some 5 or 6 hours at this age is a great thing." The master hugged him and said, "Don't be worried. Those children were told to harass you. They were told to disturb you a little so that you would be tempted to open your eyes." The Lama wrote, "At the time I thought I was being treated very harshly, but now at the end of my life, I am full of gratefulness towards those people who were hard on me. They awakened something in me. Some dormant strength became active. You are doing the opposite. You say, 'Don't be angry with the children. Don't beat them.' Now, all over the world, corporal punishment has been absolutely stopped. A child cannot be hit. No physical punishment cannot be given to a child. This is not wise because a punishment is out of love. It is not given with enmity. Those children who are given some kind of punishment, their centers awaken with them. The backbone is straightened and strengthened. A determination arises within them. Anger and pride also arise, and an inner strength is born and can grow. We are creating people without spines, who can only crawl on the earth and cannot fly like eagles in the sky. We are creating a creeping and crawling man who has no spine, and we think that we are doing it out of compassion and love and morality. You teach man not to become angry. You teach him not to express any intensity. You teach him to become weak and wishy-washy. There can be no soul in the life of such man. There can be no soul within this man, because he cannot have the intense feelings of the heart within him which were necessary for the soul. There was a Muhammadan king, Omar. He had been in great difficulty. In the last battle, he killed his enemy's horse, knocked the man to the ground, and sat on his chest. He lifted his spear and was about to flung it into his chest when his enemy spat in his face. Omar threw away the spear and stood up. His enemy was amazed. He said, "After 5 years, you finally have the chance to kill me. Why have you missed it?" Omar said, "I was thinking that you are an enemy worthy of me. But by spitting in my face, you have shown such pittiness that now there is no question of killing you. The pittiness that you have shown is not the quality of a brave man. I had been thinking that you were my equal. So, for 12 years I continued the war. But when I was going to kill you with the spear, you spat at me. This is not the behavior of a brave man. I will be committed a sin if I kill you. What will the world say to me if I were to kill someone so weak that he could only spit at me? The matter is finished. I am not going to commit a sin by killing you." Those were wonderful people. The invention of modern weapons and ornaments has destroyed all that was significant in human beings. Face to face battles had their own value. They used to expose whatever was hidden inside a man. Today, not a single soldier fights directly. He throws a bomb from an aeroplane. This has no relation to bravery. This has no relation to the inner qualities. He simply sits and presses the button of a mission gun. The possibility of awakening what is hidden in men's inner being has become less. And it is not surprising when man has become so weak and feeble. His authentic being cannot develop. All the elements within him cannot unite together and be expressed, manifested. Our educational systems are surprising. According to me, all the heart qualities within man should be intensely and extremely developed. This should be the priority. Only if there is extreme development can there be transformation. All the transformation takes place at extreme points. No transformation happens below that. If water is heated, it does not evaporate when it is lukewarm. Lukewarm water is also water. But at 100 degrees, when the water reaches its ultimate temperature, then a transformation takes place. Water turns into vapor as 100 degrees. It does not become vapor before that. Lukewarm water does not become vapor. You all are lukewarm people. No transformation can take place in your life. All the qualities of your mind and of your heart should be developed to the utmost. Only then can there be a revaluation in them. Only then can there be a change. When anger has an intensity, it can be transformed into compassion, otherwise not. But you are the enemies of anger, of greed, of passion, and so you become just lukewarm people. Then life remains just lukewarm, and no transformation can ever happen. This lukewarmness has had a tremendously harmful effect on human beings. In my version, the first thing that has to be understood is that all the qualities of your personality, of your heart, should develop rightly. Intense anger has a beauty of its own, which may not be apparent to you. Intense anger has a radiance, an energy, a meaning. It contributes to the personality in its own way. All the feelings of the heart should be intensely developed. So, the first point is that the qualities of the heart should be developed, not destroyed. What is the second point? The second point is that there should be awareness, but no suppression. The more you suppress the feelings of the heart, the more they become unconscious. We lose sight of whatever we suppress. It moves into darkness. All the energies of the heart should be clearly looked at. If you feel angry, don't try to suppress it by chanting Rama Rama. If you feel angry, sit alone in a room. Close the door and meditate on the anger. See the anger totally. What is this anger? What is the energy of this anger? From where does this anger arise? Why does it arise? How does it surround my mind and influence me? In aloneness, meditate on anger. See the anger totally. Understand it. Organize it. From where does it arise? Why does it arise? Then slowly, slowly, you will become a master of the anger. And The person who becomes a master of his anger has great power, great strength. He becomes strong. He becomes a master of himself. So, it is not a question of fighting with the anger. It is a question of knowing the anger. Because remember, there is no great energy than knowing, and there is no great stupidity than to fight with one's own energies. A person who is fighting with his own energies is committing the same mistake as a man who is wrestling with his own hands. If one hand is wrestling with the other, no hand will ever be able to win because they both belong to the same person. The energy is flowing in both hands, and if there is a fight between these two hands, the energy will be dissipated. There can be no question of winning. In the kind of fight, you will be defeated. All your energy will be wasted. Whose energy is in the anger? It is your own energy. The energy is yours, but you are the one who is fighting it. If you divide yourself and fight, you will go on breaking apart. You will disintegrate. You will not be a whole person. There can be no attainment in life other than defeat for the person who fights with himself. There cannot be, it is impossible. Do not fight. Know your own energies. Recognize them. Be acquainted with them. So, the second point is not suppression but awareness. Do not suppress. Whenever, whatever energy arises within you, do not suppress it. You are a collection of unknown energies. You are the center of very unknown energies with which you have no acquaintance, of which you have no awareness. Thousands of years ago, when lightning would strike the earth, man would become afraid. He would fold his hands and say, "Oh God, have you become angry? What has happened?" He was afraid, and the lightning was a cause for fear. But today, we know about electricity. We have mastered it. So today, it is not a cause for fear. Instead, it has become a servant. It gives light in every house. It helps the sick to be treated and machines to keep operating. Man's whole life is influenced by it and run by it. Man has become the master of electricity, but for thousands of years he was afraid of it because he did not know what electricity was. Once we came to know what it was, then we became its master. Knowing makes you a master. Within you, many energies greater than electricity are alight. They shine. Anger glows, hatred glows, love glows. You become afraid of what is happening because you don't know what all these energies are. Make your life an inner laboratory and started knowing all these energies within. Watch them, recognize them, never suppress, even unintentionally. Never be afraid, even by mistake, but try to know whatever is within you. If anger comes, then feel fortunate and be thankful to the person who has made you angry. He has given you an opportunity, some energy has arisen within you, and now you can look at it. Look at it silently, in aloneness. Search to see what it is. The more you knowing grows, the deeper your understanding will become. The more you become a master of your anger, the more you will find that it is under your control. The day you become a master of your anger will be the day you can transform it. You can transform only that which you are master of. You cannot change that which you are not a master of. And remember, you can never be a master of something that you fight with, because it is impossible to become the master of an energy. One can only be the master of a friend. If you become an enemy of energies within yourself, then you can never become master of them. You can never win without love and friendship. Neither be afraid of nor condemn the infinity treasure of the energy within you. Start knowing what is hidden within you. So much is hidden within man, there is no limit. We are not yet even at the beginning of humanity. Perhaps after 10 or 25,000 years, humanity will be as far as from us as the monkeys are now. A totally new race can evolve, because as yet we have no idea of how many energies are within man. Scientists say that about half of man's brain is still absolutely unused. No use is being made of it at all. Just a small part of the brain is being used, and the remaining part is lying idle. The remaining part cannot be useless, because nothing is unless in nature. It may be that if man's experience and knowledge to grow, the part which is lying idle will become active and start to function. Then it is beyond imagining what man will be able to know. If a man is blind, then there is nothing like light in his world. Light does not exist for him. If there are no eyes, there is no light. Those animals who do not have eyes do not even know that light exists in the world. They cannot even imagine, they cannot even dream that light exists. We have five senses. Who knows, if we had a sixth sense, maybe we would know of many more things which exist in the world. And if there were seven senses, then we could know even more things. Who knows what the limits of our sense are and how great they could become? We know very little, and we live even less than that. The more we know about the inner, the more we can enter the inner. The more we become acquainted with the inner, the more our life energies will develop and our soul will crystallize. The second key to keep in mind is that you should not suppress any of your energies. You should know them, recognize them, look into them and see them. From this, you will have a very surprising experience. If you try to look at anger, if sitting silently you look deeply into it, then the anger will disappear. As you watch the anger, it disappears. If when sexual feelings arise in your mind, you go on watching them, you will find that they will disappear. You will find that this sexuality arises in unconsciousness, and it disappears by observing it. Then you will realize that you have discovered an amazing method. You will have discovered that only in unconsciousness do anger, Sex and greed have power over you. Watch them, bringing your awareness to them. They all disappear. I had a friend who had a problem with anger. He said, I am very disturbed by it and how much it is beyond my control. Show me a method to control it without me having to do something myself. Because I have almost given up. I don't think I can do anything about it. I don't think that I can get out of this anger by my own efforts. I gave him a paper on which were written the words, Now I am getting angry. I told him, Keep this paper in your pocket, and whenever you feel angry, take it out, read it, and put it back again. And I said, You can do at least this much. This is the minimum. I cannot give you less to do. Read this paper and then put it back in your pocket. He said he would try. After 2 or 3 months, when I met him again, I asked, What happened? He said, I am surprised. This paper has worked like a mantra. Whenever I feel angry, I take it out. The moment I take it out, my hands and feet become numb. As I am putting my hand in my pocket, I realize that I am feeling angry, and then something in me loosens up. The grip that the anger used to have on me inside suddenly disappears. As my hand goes into the pocket, it relaxes, and there is no anger, any need to even read it. When I feel the anger, I start seeing the paper in my pocket. He asked me, How did the paper have this effect? What is the secret? I said, There is no secret to it. It is simple. Whenever you are unconscious, the perversions, the imbalances, and the chores of the mind take hold of you. But when you become aware, everything disappears. So, watching will have two results. First, your knowledge of your own energies will develop, and knowing them makes you the master. And second, the strength of the grip which these energies have on you will decrease. Slowly, you will find that at first anger comes, and then you watch. Then, after a while, gradually you will find that when anger comes, the watchfulness will come at the same time. And finally, you will find that when the anger is about to arise, watchfulness is already there. From the day when the wonderfulness comes before the anger, there will no longer be any possibility for anger to arise. Awareness of them before they happen has a value. Being sorry has no value because it happens afterwards and nothing can be done afterwards. Crying and weeping later on is futile because it is impossible to undo whatever has happened. There is no chance to go back, no way, no door. But whatever has not happened yet can be changed. Being sorry is simply experiencing pain after something has happened. It is meaningless. It is absolutely unintelligent. You became angry. This was a mistake. And now you are sorry. This is one more mistake. You are becoming unnecessarily disturbed. It has no value. What is needed is an awareness beforehand. Such an awareness will develop as you slowly watch all the emotions of the heart. The second key is watching and not suppressing. And the third key is transformation. Each quality of the heart can be transformed. Everything has many forms. Everything can change into an opposite form. There is no quality or energy which can be diverted towards good, towards benediction. And remember that which can become bad can always become good. That which can become harmful can always become helpful. Helpful and harmful, good and bad are directions. It is only a question of transforming by changing the direction and things will become different. A man was running in the direction away from Delhi. He stopped and asked somebody, "How far is it to Delhi?" The man replied, "If you go on running in the direction you are going, you will have to run around the world before you reach Delhi because right now you are running away from it. However, if you turn around, then Delhi is the nearest town. It is only a matter of turning around." In the direction the man was running, it would have taken him a long time to reach Delhi. But if he made a 180-degree turn, he would already be there. If you go on moving in the direction you are moving now, you will reach nowhere. You cannot reach anywhere, even if you go around the whole earth, because the earth is small and the mind is huge. A man may go around the earth, but to move around the mind is impossible. It is vast, infinite. You can go all the way around the earth. The man can go back to Delhi, but the mind is far bigger than the earth, and to move around it is a very long journey. So, this understanding of making a complete turnaround, a complete change of direction, is the third point to be kept in mind. The way you are moving now is wrong. What is the proof that something is wrong? The proof that something is wrong is that the more you move, the more you become empty. The more you move, the more you become sad. The more you move, the more you become restless. The more you move, the more you are filled with darkness. If this is the situation, then certainly you are moving wrongly. Bliss is the only criterion for life. If your life is not blissful, then know that you are moving wrongly. Suffering is the criterion of being wrong, and bliss is the criterion of being right. There is no other criteria. There is no need to read any scriptures, nor is there any need to ask a guru. All that is needed is to see if you are becoming more and more blissful, if your bliss is going deeper and deeper. If it is, you are moving rightly. And if suffering, pain, and anguish are growing, then you are moving wrongly. There is no question of believing somebody else. It is a question of looking into your own life every day and seeing whether you are becoming more sad or more blissful. If you ask yourself, there will be no difficulty. Old people say that their childhood was very joyful. What does this mean? Have they grown in some wrong way? Childhood, the time of joy, was the beginning of life, and now, at the end of the life, they are sad. The beginning was joyful, and the end is sad. then life has moved in some wrong way. The contrary should have happened. What should have happened is that the joy of childhood should have grown day by day as the man grew. Then, in his old age, he would say that his childhood was the most painful state because it was the beginning of life. It was the first stage. If a student has gone to a university to study and then says that slowly the knowledge he had when he first started to study is disappearing, he would ask him, aren't you learning? Aren't you acquiring any knowledge? This is very strange. We can have understood if he had said that he was more ignorant at the beginning of his studies. Naturally, after studying for a few years, a student should know more, not less. But to say that he now knows less sound very strange. People always say that they were more joyful when they were children. Poets sing songs of a blissful childhood. They must be mad. If childhood was blissful, then does it mean that because you are sad now, you have wasted your life? It would have been better if you had died in childhood. At least you would have died blissfully. Now you will die in sorrow. So, those who die in childhood are fortunate. The longer a person lives, the more his joy should grow. But your joy decreases. The poets are not saying something wrong. They are sharing their life experiences. They are correct. Your joy goes on decreasing. Day by day, everything goes on increasing when in fact it should be increasing. So you are growing in a wrong way. The direction of your life is wrong. Your energy is wrong. One should be constantly vigilant, constantly inquiring. One should keep the criteria clearly in one's mind. If the criteria are clear to you, and if you see that you are moving wrongly, then nobody except yourself is preventing you from moving in the right direction. One evening, two monks arrived at their hut. For 4 months, they had been away traveling, but now, as it was the rainy season, they had returned to their hut. But when they reached their hut, the younger monk, who was walking ahead, suddenly became angry and sad. The winds of the storm had carried away half of the hut, and only half of it was left. They had come back after 4 months in the hope that they would be able to rest in the hut and be safe from the rain. But now it was going to be difficult. Half of the hut had fallen down, and half of its roof had been blown away by the winds. The young monk said to his old companion, "This is too much. These are the things which create doubt about the existence of God in me. The sinners have palaces in the cities. Nothing has happened to them. But the huts of the poor people like us, who spend day and night in prayer, is in ruins. I doubt whether God exists. Is this prayer business for real? Or are we making a mistake? Maybe it is better to sin, because the palaces of the sinful stand safe and the huts of the people who pray are blown away by the winds." The young monk was full of anger and condemnation, and he felt that all the prayers were futile. But his old companion raised his folded hands towards the sky, and tears of joy started flowing from his eyes. The young man was surprised. He said, What are you doing? The old man said, I am thanking God, because who knows what the winds might have done? They could have blown away the whole hut. But God must have created some obstacles for the wind, and in that way saved half of our hut for us. God is concerned about us, poor people also. So we should thank Him. Our prayers have been heard. Our prayers have not been futile. Otherwise, the whole roof might have been blown away. That night, both of them slept. But as you can imagine, both slept in different ways. The one who was full of anger and rage, who thought that all his prayers were futile, kept on changing his position all night, and all kinds of nightmares and worries were racing around in his mind. There were clouds in the sky. It was about to rain. Half of the roof had been blown away by the winds, and they could see the sky. Tomorrow the rain would start. Then what would happen? Then others slept a very deep sleep. Who else can sleep so peacefully except someone whose being is filled with gratitude and thankfulness? He got up in the morning and started dancing and singing a song. In the song, he said, Oh God, we didn't know that there could be so much bliss in a broken down hut. If we had known it before, then we would not have even bothered your winds. We ourselves would have taken away half of the roof. I have never slept so blissfully, because half of the roof was not there. Whenever I opened my eyes during the night, I saw the stars and the gathering clouds in your sky. And now that the rains are about to start, it will be even more beautiful, because with half of the roof gone, we will be able to hear the music of your raindrops much more clearly. We have been idiots. We have spent so many rainy seasons sheltering inside the hut. We had no idea what joy it could be to be exposed to the sky and the wind and the rain. If we had realized it, we would not have bothered your winds. We ourselves would have got rid of half of the roof. The young man asked, What is this I am hearing? What is all this nonsense? What is this madness? What are you saying? The old man said, I have looked at things deeply, and my experience is that whatever makes us more happy is the right direction in life for us, and whatever makes us suffer more is the wrong direction. I thanked God, and my bliss increased. You became angry at God, and your anguish increased. You were restless last night. I slept peacefully. Now I am able to sing a song, and you are burning with anger. Very early, I came to understand that the direction in which life becomes more blissful is the right direction, and I have focused my whole consciousness towards that direction. I don't know whether God exists or not. I don't know whether He has heard our prayers or not. But my proof is that I am happy and dancing, and you are crying, and angry and worried. My bliss proves that my way of living is right, and your anguish proves that the way you are living is wrong. The third point is to keep a continuous check on which direction it is that deepens your joy. There is no need to ask anybody else. You can use this criteria every day in your daily life. The criteria is bliss. It is just like the criteria for testing gold by rubbing it on a stone. The goldsmith will throw away whatever is not pure and put whatever is pure into his vault. Go on checking every day using the criterion of bliss. See what is right and what is wrong. Whatever is wrong can be thrown away, and whatever is right will slowly start accumulating like a treasure. These are the three keys for the morning. In the evening, we will talk a little more about them. Now, we will sit for the morning meditation. It will be better if you sit keeping a little distance from each other. Nobody should be touching anybody else. You need to understand two things. I will explain again because perhaps some new friends are here. What we are going to do is a very simple and easy thing, but often it happens that the easy things seem very difficult to do because you are not used to doing simple things. You are accustomed to doing difficult things, not easy things. Firstly, it is very easy and simple to allow your body to be absolutely relaxed and silent for a while. Close your eyes slowly and just remain sitting without doing anything. And then, secondly, silently listen to the sounds that are happening around. Just listen. Just listening will start creating a silence and a depth inside. In Japan, the word they use for meditation is very interesting. They call it jajan. Jajan means just sitting, doing nothing. It means only this and nothing else. Sit silently and do nothing. It is very meaningful word. So sit silently, do nothing. Eyes are closed, ears are opened. So the ears will listen. Just go on silently listening. Go on silently listening. While listening, you will find that within you a deep silence and emptiness has arisen. It is into this emptiness that one has to go on moving deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper. It is through the door of this emptiness that someday you will realize the whole. Through this door of emptiness, you will attain to that which is whole, and in this way, becoming more and more silent, listening to the birds and the sounds around you. One day, you will start to hear the sound of your inner being. So, we will listen silently. Firstly, relax the body completely. Then, easily, slowly, gently close the eyes. Drop the eyelids very slowly so that there is no weight on the eyes. Close the eyes and relax the body. Sit absolutely silently. We are sitting silently and doing nothing. There are sounds of birds all around. Just listen to them silently. Keep listening to all the sounds around you. Just keep listening and don't do anything. Slowly, slowly within you, something will become silent. Something will settle. Just listen, and a silence will descend inside you. For 10 minutes, listen silently. Listen absolutely relaxed. Listen. Mind has become silent. Mind has become absolutely silent. Mind has become silent. Mind has become silent. In deep silence, listen to each sound. Birds are singing. Listen.